Okay, let's do a recap of my February trading and go through some of the most notable mistakes I made during the month. Both stupid losses and like 5-star setups where I didn't capitalize because I didn't size in or I missed them completely. And every month I go through my mistakes, and every month I realize that I could have made 50 to 100% more money that month if I had just eliminated or minimized the top 5 biggest mistakes. And that's quite a significant amount of money. So every month I try to make fewer mistakes. And it's always a work in progress, and that's what makes trading fun, because there's always improvements to make. So let's start with my position trades, my earnings trades. Pixelworks, as you know, I bought it here, and I got stopped out here. And I really didn't follow my exit rules. I should have used break even as my stop, and in that case I would still be in the trade. Because I got stopped out here, and then literally the next day the stock spiked over 20% because there's bidders here. You know, fundamentally I think this stock belongs in the 6s or 7s, and I've been talking about this thing a lot. But I let myself get shaken out. Wix is another one. I didn't follow my exit rules. I should have used a wider stop. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Like I usually do on these earnings trades, and I got stopped out here, I think, and then it just bounced off the rising 20-day. Didn't even touch the rising 20-day. It went straight up. And another one is GoGo. I traded here, bought it here. I got stopped out on this day here. Instead, I should have used, well, a wider stop. And then it went straight up. So I have a tendency has been for me to get stopped out on support, basically, on these position trades, and then they rip literally the next day or a couple of days later. So the next category of mistakes, and this is the big one. This is the one I could have easily made another 50 grand last month. It's these a couple of 5-star shorts. Let's look at the 60-minute chart here also. Like this one, it was multiple legs higher. It was an enormous move. And then on the third leg, which is here, the third day on the third leg, I shorted it, and I made a bunch of money, but I should have risked 2-3 times as much money. I shorted it here, literally near the top, and then it went down over 40% the same day from my entry. And I just didn't size in enough. And also I think I covered in this area. And considering the potential on these things, because I know these things can crash 30-50% in a day or a few days, and I just started covering too early, and before I knew it, my shares were, well, I was out of shares. And the same day, we had also an NAKD. I shorted it near the highs of the day, and just, you know, went down almost 50% intraday. And I think I covered it somewhere here in the low 3s, and it went to low 2s. Another one, I mean, I think I made 15,000 on those 2 stocks that day, but just with a little bit more patience, I could have easily made twice as much. And if I had risked more, I could have made much more. And so that was a big mistake. Two mistakes. I know better. I know that I should size in more on those kinds of stocks, and I know I should be more patient. But it's what it is. Now CXRX, I shorted it on this day, lost a bunch of money, and then on this the next day it gapped down, and there was one, if not two, great ad spots intraday. I tried to get filled on a small position on pops intraday. I only got filled on tiny, like a tenth of my position, and I basically covered it for nothing. And something like this, when you have a big short and you know it's basically a piece of shit stock going bankrupt. Well, again, I should have just had more conviction, but I didn't. So that was another one. Could have been a 5-figure trade very easily. REN is one. I got a sloppy on the exits. I got stopped out. I shorted it on this day. I got stopped out on this day, but I just let it go a little bit more than I should have. I lost 2-3 grand for no reason. So, but that was a small mistake. A big one I made was on this day. Let's take the text away. On this day here. Now, it had earnings here after hours. So it was like the 270s, 280s in after hours and pre-market. And on this day pre-market, you know, my plan was to short it when it went red here at 273 area. Problem is it went red about, I think about an hour before the market opened, and I wasn't at my computer. So I missed a 5-figure trade here. That was very unfortunate. Just the stupid little thing, like not being in front of the computer. I'm usually in front of the computer an hour and a half before the market opens, but not on this day. So it's very annoying, very avoidable. CMBX. I've been talking about this one a lot. As you know, I shorted it here. I boxed the shares, but I only boxed half. So the other half, I think it was 5,000 shares. It squeezed me for $4. No, it was 10,000 shares, I think. I don't remember. I was down like 20, 30, if not 40,000 on that box. No, I wasn't down 40. I was down 20 or 30 on it, on the unboxed part. And well, the mistake here is I should have boxed everything, and I've been talking about this one a lot. You know, I kind of broke even on the trade after ECN fees and commissions and borrow fees, but this thing could have been a $20,000-$30,000 easily trade easily if I had just boxed it up and then had more dry powder up here when it finally cracked. Another one where I kind of didn't size in was GOL on this day here. I really had tiny shares. I should have done 2-3 times as much size, but for some reason I didn't. I got some good entries, and then I didn't want to chase. I didn't want to ruin my average, even though it was the correct thing to do, because I knew this thing had a big potential on the downside. So that was another one. Could have easily made potentially another 5 figures. Let's see. WCB. Oh, and this one on this day here, it's the same day as CMBX cracked. Oh, yes. Let's start with a long trade. So I missed a multiple 5-figure trade because I didn't want to chase it a penny on this day when it broke out. I tried to get in on a bids, I think at 74, 75 cents, and never came down there. Just went straight up and went up almost 300%. So, and I think I tried to get 25,000 shares if I remember correctly. So this could have easily a 5-figure trade, probably a multiple 5-figure trade. And the short, I didn't size in. I had good entries. I think my entries were in the 290s or 280s here, and I just didn't size in and went straight down. Because I was, this one I actually can explain, because I was so exhausted from getting squeezed on CMBX, I just didn't have the mental power to size in. And, well, it is what it is. Now let's go on to some longs. There's a bunch of swing longs I completely missed. Or I didn't miss them, I saw them trigger, but I just didn't pull the trigger. One of them was OLED on this day here. You know, I saw it breaking out. I saw it breaking out here in the 66 area. I could have easily bought it, risked like $1, $1.50, and went up like 10. Well, after the earnings, it went up. I wouldn't have held into the earnings, but it was still a pretty nice move. The next day, it went up like 10%. And there was a bunch of other ones too. I already talked about CMBX. That was no, not CMBX, OWCP, and there were a bunch of others. So there are multiple 5 figures from these missed longs. Then VRX, I missed a nice profit on somewhere here. I think I longed it on this day here, and I added here. But it was such a slow moving stock. It just inched higher, and so this day I just bailed. I was like, okay, it's not going anywhere. I just got bored with it, and then went just straight up for 3 days. I had a decent position. Could have been a 5-figure trade. But I just got bored with it. Another one, just unnecessary. I could have just used a break-even stop or and had a little bit more patience. And CMBX, it was another 5-figure mistake. On this day here, I bounced it, and but I was just I used too tight stops, so I got shaken out, and then it went straight up 90% in a couple of days. Another 5-figure trade. I fucked up because I just didn't trade it correctly. I knew the bounce was coming, and I never got back in. I guess the real mistake was not getting back in when it started perking late day. That was the real mistake. Not getting stopped out the first time around. That was kind of a correct decision, even though in hindsight it did put in higher low intraday. But I didn't know that when it happened. So as I said in the video description, I was up 101,000 in February and had a 43% win rate, which is kind of fairly decent. I'm usually around 40-45% win rate, so that's pretty normal. And it was a decent month. Again, as I said, every month I look back at my trades and also the trades I didn't do, and I could make a lot of money, much more money every month. And this month is no different, or February was no different. Just it's all about learning about those mistakes and making fewer and fewer of them every month. Okay, so I hope this helped, and I'll try to get a new video out later this week. I just don't have a lot of time to do videos every day. Going forward, you should expect maybe 1 or 2 or 3 videos per week at most, because spring is coming and I'm not gonna spend as much time inside in front of my computer as I did during the winter. So that's it.